All right, today we're going to talk about our 2016 Pierce Velocity Pumper and procedures of putting it into pump gear and what you would do if you would encounter a problem that you were at the pump and you did not have pressure. Some things that you could check in an emergency to make sure you are actually in pump gear and a way to rectify your problem. The correct procedure for putting it in pump gear when you pull up to a fire is you want to put it in neutral, set your emergency brake, and then engage the pump. Now, there are two lights here. They both need to be green when it is in pump gear. So if you read the directions here, you're going to shift our handle down once, wait about 1 second, and then go down again. You should see that the pump is engaged, and then when you put it in drive, your second green light will come on, and that is telling you that you are engaged and ready to pump. Alright, after you've done everything in the cab, you come back here to your pump panel, you pull your tank to pump and your recirculation valve to get some water flowing, and the next thing you're going to do is look at your pump discharge pressure here. You should have something reading on your gauge, and that is going to tell you if you are actually in pump gear or not. Alright, we're going to talk about a few things that will help you fix the problem if you come back here and you find a 0 on your pump discharge pressure. That is telling you that you don't have any pressure in the pump, and there are a few things you can do right here, right off the bat, just to make sure that you do have some pressure in the pump. The first thing I would do is check to make sure that you have a prime. So if you prime it and that's getting water into the pump and you still have 0 reading on your pump discharge pressure, then you're going to have to go back into the cab and go through your processes again to make sure you're actually putting it in pump gear. There are a few things in the cab that you may have forgotten to do in the excitement of pulling up and seeing fire, and that's a common problem with engineers, and we'll go up front and talk about those things now. Okay, so as we mentioned, we have 0 on our pump discharge. We've tried priming it and we are still getting 0. So that means we are not in pump gear somewhere in our steps that we've gone up here in the front. I'm just going to talk about a little bit that may cause that issue. One of them is we've put it in pump gear and we forgot to put it in drive. Okay, so that is going to cause you a problem that you're not going to get your pump engaged. You should see a 4 on here. The reason why it goes right to 4 is you don't want to have an increase and decrease in pressure as it shifts through the gear, so it goes straight to 4. If you don't see that 4 on there, then you're not in pump gear. Another issue that we could run into is we pull up to the fire, we put it in neutral, and then we try and engage our pump. We go back to the back, we find 0. One thing we forgot to do is engage our parking brake. That will not allow you to put it in pump gear if you have not engaged your parking brake. The other thing that could happen is if you do set your park brake, you've put your Another problem that we may encounter when you're putting it in pump gear is you're going to hear grinding on your gears. And what that is as your gears come together, they're not lining up, and so you're getting some grind. So with your lever in the neutral position, you can go reverse and then neutral. And what that is that moves those gears just a little bit. And then you're going to put it back down into engage and then hit drive. And then make sure your 2 green lights come on. And what that is it's moved those gears a little bit so they'll mesh together and it'll go into pump gear. As we pull up to the fire, we're going to put it in neutral. We're going to engage our park brake, and then we are going to engage our pump. We're going to wait about 1 second. We're going to go down to engage. We see our green light come on. We're going to hit drive. We're going to see our 4 come up. Also listen to the motor. It'll change a little bit, and that'll help you hear that it is engaging. We have our second green light, so we are good to go. Check our pump and see if we have pressure. Okay, as we come back to our pump, we're going to open our tank to pump. We're going to open our tank fill, which is our recirculating, and we are going to look and make sure that our pump discharge has some pressure to it. Right now I'm going to show you how to do that procedure with the reverse if you hear grinding in your gears. So if you come down here and you go to neutral and you go to put it in gear and you hear grinding at this point, then you want to put it back in neutral. You want to hit reverse and then neutral. We're going to put this back in drive, or engage the pump, put it in drive. We should see our second light green. That shows us that the pump has been engaged. Okay, I've come back to my pump and I've looked at my pressure. I'm seeing 0 on my gauge. That means I have no water in the pump. So now I have a problem. First thing I'm going to try and do is prime it. I'm going to keep an eye on my pressure discharge. Once I think I've got it primed, I can check it by increasing. So what happened there is there was no prime in the pump. So we primed it, got water back into the pump, increased the pressure, and that went up. You could hear that there was a drop in pressure again. That was another air bubble that worked its way out. The pressure came back up, so we should be good to go. We just saw that priming the pump fixed that problem. If that does not fix your problem, then you've done something wrong in the cab and you need to come back here and go through your process again. Go reverse everything out, start over, take a deep breath, make sure you hit all of your steps. One thing to remember for safety, whenever you're engaging or disengaging the pump, keep your foot on the brake, and after you've engaged your pump, make sure you chalk your tires. Another problem that we may
Cut action.
Hang on, I gotta think of the right word.
We need a clap.
Another problem that we may encounter is the pump may not go in drive with your electronics, so you need to do it manually. The way to do that is we are going to do this same procedure, make sure our parking brake is set, make sure we're in neutral. We are going to put this down to our neutral position. Then we're going to step out to the pump and engage it with the lever. We've chalked our wheels. Now we're just going to read our manual pump shift here. We've placed it in neutral in the cab, and we are going to pull for pump. And we pulled that out. Now we want to go back in the cab and lock it in. We're going to lock our down position here and then put it in drive. We've got both of our green lights, so we should be good to go. We'll go check our pressure on our pump panel. So we've manually put it in pump gear with our lever. We check our pump pressure there. We're showing that we have 50 psi on our discharge. We can put it in our pressure mode. Just check. See, we've got pressure there. Okay, so now that we're done pumping, we're gonna disengage our pump just like we would normally. The lever should go back in if you want to go back there and watch that.
I was like, oh my God.
Now we're going to disengage our pump and we're going to use the lever to put it back in road. We're going to put our transmission in neutral, put our pump back in the neutral position, and now when we come back here, we're going to be putting it back into road, so we are going to push for road. Fully disengage the pump. And then we can double check and make sure by putting it in drive. I say, okay. So the, cut.